November 9 Whiskey, Quebec.
Come back with the call sign again, please.
Norway, number 9, Washington, Quebec, N9WQ.
Roger, Roger. Had to find a pin that would write. Good morning. This is KC9VKV. Roger, Roger.
KC9VKV, Kilowatt Victor, Victor Kilowatt Victor, is that right?
Roger, Roger. Yeah, we're located just across the street, the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. Roger.
Roger, Roger. I must have found the line, Wisconsin, about 70 miles north of Milwaukee. Here's Dave, like Doggy, Victor Easy.
Roger, Roger, Dave. Well, we usually run Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog network on 7188, but there was somebody in a park doing a parks thing on 88, so we slipped down a few. Roger.
Roger. Yeah, I was just moving the VFO and I heard your signal calling, so thought I'd just say good morning, wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll let you get down to your whatever you're going to do there. I'm at work and I should be working, but I'm just sitting here playing ham radio, you know.
Roger, Roger. Now tell me, how do you do that at work without raising suspicions?
I'm the boss, over.
That explains it all, Roger.
Of course, I work alone, so I'm also the janitor and the purchasing agent and the estimator, the claims department, you know, all of that stuff. It's all me.
Roger, Roger. Might I ask what the general nature of work you do?
I am an auto mechanic, and I repair light cars and trucks. I own a big garage here, and I'm right across the street from a truck stop. And believe it or not, I work by myself, and I do the deed every day. And I don't know, today I just don't feel like doing nothing. I think I'm just going to either sit here and play ham radio, or I'm going to go home and fire up my big station and sit around and just do nothing. I already decided I wasn't going to work tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and I'm off the weekend, so I might just eliminate today too.
Why not? Shoot, you can afford it. You're the boss.
I don't know about affording it, but I am the boss, so the only people that are going to be pissed at me is people who want me to fix their cars.
Well, you know what we say, if they can't take a joke.
I mean, even, you know, I work hard, man. I'm here every day, Monday through Monday. And, you know, because I'm a hobbyist, and I build drag cars and street rods, stuff like that. So, you know, I'm always here. And, I don't know, I'm burned out, man. I just need to go, sit someplace where it's nice and warm and not have to deal with any crap for a week, you know.
Roger, Roger. That's the neat part about being the boss. I retired some years ago and just really enjoy being able to, you know, the truly rich guy is a guy that can do exactly what he wants to do, Roger.
And that's exactly correct. And, you know, I should point out that although I can do whatever I want to do, not really, because people don't realize this, but when you run a business, people depend on you to be there. And if you're not going to be there, they won't show up. So if you want to be successful, you have to be here. And the only disadvantage to that is that if you're here, you can't be anywhere else. So, you know, it has its benefits and it has its setbacks. And you just got to have enough intellectual material between your ears to create a reality where you can exist in that world and still have time for yourself.
Roger, Roger. Well, the thing is, you're there most of the time. That's the trick, to be there enough of the time, not to lose very many patrons, but not to you know, be there all the time, because then you do have a tendency to go off the deep end, Roger.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm getting a little overworked here. I've been busy. I had a long summer racing, and I had a truck burn up at the drag strip here about a month and a half ago, and I've been putting that together, so I've been working here every night and on the weekends. I finally got that thing about 90% done, so I can move it in and out of the shop now and get it out of my way. And, you know, so, I don't know, I'm just tired. It's been a long 4 months. I need a break. N9WQ.
Roger, Roger. Well, I used to, as a young man of 16, I was in Nashville at a boarding house, and my fellow boarder used to go drag racing on the weekend. You know, he had a 56 Chevy, and I had a Carmen Kia, and I would follow him to the drag strip, and thing was, I don't know what it was, but that 56 Chevy, he used to religiously, almost every time, drop a transmission. And so that's why I went, because we would ride back together. I would give him a ride back. But I would also do a little drag racing, and I was in F Sports against Monzas, which were much more powerful than I was. So I would, getting ready to go down the strip, I would pop the belt on my air-cooled engine and drop a few mothballs in the tank, shake it up a little bit, and we won a few times, but Monzas were pretty stiff competition, Roger.
Oh yes, yeah, that's about how it works out. I run trucks, believe it or not. I drag race trucks. I drag race N10 pickup trucks, and it's a lot of fun. I also have a street car too, you know, 68 Camaro, big block, blah blah blah. But for the most part, I have a big tire truck and a small tire truck. And the small tire truck I just burned up and I had to rebuild it. That's what I was talking about there. I've got a big tire truck. If you look at my QRZ page, there's some information about the stuff there. Over.
Oh, Roger that, Roger that. Well, what do you think about the weight proportion of the pickup truck versus a car, Roger?
Well, that's just it. Pickup trucks are light. You can make them even lighter than you can a car. Weight distribution is somewhat of an issue, but management is easy. Meaning you add enough weight here or there. I scale my truck, so I know exactly how much weight is on each wheel. Anti-roll, all that sort of stuff is built into the chassis, so when it goes down the track, it goes down straight every time. Not bouncing around, and the suspension is set up so that it pushes the car forward instead of lifting the nose off the ground. Although when I do run a stick, I have a 5-speed Doug-Nash tranny in there. Every once in a while, I'll run that first gear with a spray. I'll pull the front end about 3-4 feet off the ground for 60 feet, but most of the time, with the Turbo 400 in there, it'll keep the nose right on the ground and it'll go forward pretty good. I do 9-second passes with it. Over.
Oh, great. And you're driving from the rear wheels or the front wheels?
Oh, no, rear wheel drive.
Roger, yeah, I was thinking, because that would, further put that balance between the drive and the engine weight in the front to keep it down. Probably work out pretty good. What was your timing?
990s typically.
What's your speed coming off the end?
132 miles an hour, something like that.
Roger, Roger. What's your competition speed usually?
I bracket race, so all of those things are taken out. Everybody guesses how fast their shit's going to go, and then the guy who goes too fast loses, or if you're sleeping at the light, you lose.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, listen, FYI, we are recording. We do. That's what we do on a normal net afternoon, Friday afternoons, between 3:30 and 5 on 7188, and we're kind of taking a busman's holiday this morning. Just checking out a couple of things. We are running two 10-foot magnetic loop antennas. One's oriented east and west, and the other's north and south. And we do have a co-phase harness. Right now we're running both in co-phase, and usually that's about 2 or 3 dB hotter than one of the magnetic loops by themselves, Roger?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in running antennas. Co-phasing harness. Oh yeah, that's a 75 into a 50. We used to use those in the tractor trailers when we were running TV with on mirrors. And I believe that was 2 pieces of 75 ohm coax strapped together, and that created your 50 ohm impedance at the key point. Yeah, but yeah, you can do that with a lot of things. Co-phasing is definitely an attribute to ham radio, but there's not a lot of people that understand how it works and how far apart the antennas have to be depending upon the wavelength. And a lot of times you'll get guys that'll co-phase stacked arrays. You'll put, say, a 20 meter, 10 element, 20 meter beam at 100 feet, and you'll put another one at 60 feet, and you'll co-phase the two of them, and that gives you 2 paths off of the same listening point, the N9WQ.
Roger, Roger. I did a bunch of antenna building a few years back, UHF and VHF stuff, and those, you know, the wavelength is a lot shorter, so I would take like a 6.5 or 7 foot cross boom and mount a couple of VHF Yagis on either end of it, and then space a couple of UHF Yagis in the middle. You know, so I would be running stacked UHFs and stacked VHFs on the same cross boom. Roger.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those were the days when there was enough guys on ham radio that you could sit around and play antenna testing with all day. And I remember when I was a young ham back in the 90s, me and a friend of mine, we used to build these little 2-meter cubicle quads, and we could make one 6 elements, 4 elements, 3 elements, even 2 elements. And you could sit there and hold on to the antenna with an HT and tune in all the different, we used to use them for listening, and you could tune in repeaters in different states, you know, and you just turn all the beam on a day, you know. In the 90s, of course, the band was open, it was top of the cycle. But I used to like, you'd be able to turn and listen to every different NOAA weather radio. You could hear the one down in Arkansas holding that little 4-element Yagi. If you held it, put it on the right frequency and held it, you know what I mean? It was, you know, it was just incredible playing with antennas. And then I remember the 2-meter ladder antenna, I think 150 elements sloping down a hill on a line cord, 2 line cords, and there's elements, one after the other, after the other, after the other. There's about, you know, 15 elements in the back, a driven element, and then about 120 forward elements. And you can put a piece of paper in the front of that antenna and key up a couple of watts and just melt the paper.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Yeah, we used to use, you know, everybody said you had to use copper or aluminum to build Yagis, you know, but we would build them out of zinc-covered galvanized steel, 1/4-inch wire galvanized steel. And we one time built an exact replica out of copper, and there was no difference in performance. It was the same. It was the same deal, you know. So zinc-covered galvanized steel in a Yagi works just as well as copper. And a lot of third world countries use coat hangers, Roger.
Yeah, well, you got to use what you got to use. I remember watching that little film from the 50s where a little Timmy is stealing Mom's strainer to make a microphone or something. Grandpa's calling Timmy, and everybody's calling Timmy. Before you know it, everybody's in the room. Listen to Timmy talk to some guy in Japan who's actually around the corner and up the street.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I really enjoyed building Yagis. So we built 7-element VHF and 14-element UHF, and these were all on 7-foot booms, wooden booms, and we used a very unique driven element. It was a half-wave, half-folded dipole. So it was, on any good day, it was about 30% more efficient than gamma matches. And using a 1/4-inch diameter stuff instead of, wider stuff or higher stuff, we reduced our drag, so to speak, and raised the Q and thereby raised the gain. We weren't particularly interested in going out to the edges of the band, so we didn't have to compromise anything, and we did max gain in center frequency. So on any good day, excuse me, we were probably about 6 or 7 dB ahead of a commercial antenna.
Roger that. Well, listen, I'm looking at the time and realizing it's about time for me to go get something to eat for dinner, so say 73s with you. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for the Qso. I hope you enjoy yourself today, and I'm going to gather my sheep and get the block out of here. Hi. So 73 is from sunny, beautiful downtown North Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And I'll tell you, I'll leave this little tidbit of information. I really had a lot of fun building cubicle quads. That's another great antenna to build if somebody wants to play. 73, this is N9WQ, over.
Roger. What's the name there, please?
The name is Dave. Like, diamonds are very expensive unless you're at the end of your relationship, and divorces are very expensive. Over.
Roger, Dave. FYI, we have been recording, and we will post this up on YouTube in the next couple of days. Excuse me. So if you would go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that's KC9VKV, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. We have about 820 Qso-Vlogs now. But you'll be looking for this one. It'll have your call sign in it, and probably with any luck, maybe 2 or 3 other call signs. Roger?
Roger that. Well, that's nice, man. Thanks for doing that. And if I get an opportunity, I'll take a gander and let's take a listen. So thank you very much. You have a wonderful day. God bless you. God bless America. From sunny, beautiful downtown North Fond du Lac, this is N9WQ, signing with Kilowatt Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor.
Roger, 30. Have a good afternoon, a great holiday. We'll call it a holiday. Good talking at you, threes. This is KC9VKV. Clear.
Whiskey 0 Juliet Mike.
There's a 00 Mike. Is that a Roger?
Whiskey 0 Juliet Mike. Back to you.
Okay, you're only about 2 dB above my noise level. You are about 2 dB above my noise level. I do usually run 4 internet SDRs, but I'm taking a busman's, so to speak, holiday this morning, and I'm not running my internet SDRs, unfortunately. So, like I say, I'm copying you about 2 dB above my noise level. Come back one more time, slowly, phonetically, with your call sign, please.
Alrighty, it's Whiskey 0 Juliet Mike. The first one on this end is J Juliet Alpha Yankee. They're back to you.
Okay, I've got Whiskey 0 Juliet. What's the rest?
Mike, Mexico.
Whiskey 0 Juliet Mike. Is that a Roger?
Roger, that's QSL. They're back to you.
Roger, and what's the name there, sir?
Okay, the name on this end is J Juliet Alpha Yankee. We're in north central Missouri. They're back to you.
Roger, on Missouri. I usually don't go west. I have my whole antenna system configured for a East Coast situation, radiating primarily from Montreal to Miami down the East Coast. So I don't go west too often. Try your name one more time, please, sir.
Okay, it is J Juliet Alpha Yankee. QSL?
Yeah, Jay, I've got you like the bird, Roger.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like the bird.
Roger. And what radio are you running today, sir?
We're running an ICOM IQ 7300 on this end. With the audio is going through a 781, Kyle 781, and we're running 811.8. And we're putting out right now 650.
Roger. Well, the 7300 is one of my favorite radios. We usually run a Qso-Vlog net on Friday afternoons on 7188. That was they had some guys in the park this morning on 7188, so we slipped down a little bit. But we usually are on 7188 Friday afternoons, 3:30 till 3:30 till 5 Eastern time, and we do record that whole thing. We are recording now, matter of fact, and then we posted it up on YouTube. And if you were to go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, you would find actually your voice on one of those, and it would be called my pop-up air check, and your call sign would be there. Roger, Roger.
Okay, well, sounds very good. We'll look for that procedure. KC9VKV is in Victor.
That's a Roger. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And that will take you on a YouTube search. That would take you to our Qso-Vlog page. Roger.
Roger, that sounds good. Well, actually, to kind of hear how things are going your way.
Roger, Jay, I wish I had a better copy on you. Like I say, you're about 2 dB above my noise level, so it is pretty noisy, but you might be able to catch a little bit of your audio on, if you went and checked out the recording. Now, we are, we do a lot of tune-up assistance on our usual Qso-Vlog net, and 7300, we've probably tuned up about 150 7300s, and I can give you a real fast setup procedure if you wanted to take notes, Roger.
Sounds good. We're always open to suggestions. Back to you.
Roger, Roger. Well, the secret to our tune-up is that we're looking to create a 3 dB dynamic range in your audio. Like unprocessed audio has about a 10 dB dynamic range, which means, and dynamic range is an expression of the difference between the softest sound that you make and the loudest sound that you make. And so 10 dB dynamic range is unprocessed, which means your average peak modulation is somewhere around 30%. So what we do is crunch your audio very nicely and with finesse that nobody knows what's going on there, because they don't hear the compressor compressing and they don't hear the limiter limiting. But the end result is a 3 dB dynamic range, and that means your average percent of peak modulation will be between 80 and 85%. So about 3 times louder than unprocessed audio, but with finesse and no distortion. That's the neat part. So we begin on the 7300 by you engaging your compressor and setting it at a 3. Running your compressor at about a 3, Roger. Probably I should just go ahead and tell you how to do it, because if you could just take notes and then you can do it later would probably be best, since our conditions are pretty marginal. But anyway, you engage your compressor and set it at a 3. So now you're running a third of the capability of your compressor, and then you go to your ALC meter and adjust your ALC to run mid-scale to 2/3 by your mic gain control. That's how you adjust your ALC meter, just to turn your mic gain control up or down to where the ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger. Compressor set at 3.
Roger, Roger. Now, are you still using the hand mic, the supplied hand mic on that 7300?
No, I'm a Heil studio mic.
Roger, Roger. Okay, that hand mic is specifically designed for the 7300. It's a electret condenser microphone, and it has just a perfect top-end EQ. It is beautiful as far as brightness, and the thing about audio is that you want a fairly bright signal, because when you get down into the trenches and you've got tons of noise, the brighter your signal is, the easier it is for the person receiving your signal to be able to understand what you're saying. When you're lost down in the noise, if your signal has fairly bright content, articulated audio, then they can hear the words you're saying. If it doesn't, all it sounds like is mumbles in the background. So with that supplied electret condenser microphone, you really have that sharp edge. But if you now have replaced that microphone with a dynamic microphone, you need to crank in some top-end EQ to make up the difference. So what you would do would be to go to your tone control for that 7300, and then look for treble, and you want to take that treble control to about a +3, at least a +3 on your treble control, and then move down to your bottom end EQ, the bass, and roll off 1 or 2 dB on that EQ. Roger, Roger?
Well, right now I'm on treble at 3, and my bass is set at 2. If that helps you out any at all.
Roger, I don't have really a good enough copy to critique your audio precisely. I need at least 3 or 4 dB above my noise to be able to get a good handle on your audio. Roger?
Hey, Roger, on that, yeah, I'm about max. I'm running about 650 to 700 watts out on the amplifier, and we're only packing in about 55 watts into the input there. Back to you.
Roger. I did catch a little bit of your audio at about 4 dB above my noise level, and it looks like maybe you definitely want to roll a couple of dB off on the bottom end, on the bass side, about 2 clicks off your bass. Roger, Roger?
Okay, how's that, Jim? We're down at 1.
Roger, that sounds cleaner. It, like I said, if you get too much bass in there, when you get push comes to shove, it just muddies out, Whereas what I try to do is set up a radio that will be good for QSO or contesting, so you don't have to switch back and forth. One size, one EQ works for both. Now, the other thing that I suggest is that you run your radio at 2900, 100 to 2900 on the bandpass. Roger?
Roger, is where we are.
Roger, I copy that. That's what you're doing now, Roger?
Roger. I've got all of it. And as our conditions improve a little bit, then I'll give it a good shot.
Roger, Roger J. And if you get a chance this coming Friday, man, come up on 7188 between 3:30 and 5 Eastern. I'd love to hear, maybe we'd have better conditions. Roger?
Okie dokie, sounds good to me, and we'll see if we can't get back together again. We'll see if there's any improvement.
Roger, Roger J. Okay, so we'll say 3s for now, and you have a great weekend, and you'll have, Thanksgiving before Friday. I think Thanksgiving is Thursday, so have a great Thanksgiving, Roger.
Oh, the QSL. Well, I'll tell you what, now, we have a good deal this Thanksgiving. And then the family is coming on Saturday, so we get to do it twice. Jim, how's that sound?
Oh man, that's great. 2 Thanksgivings in a row. Ooh boy, I would be, I would gain probably about 25 pounds in a deal like that.
Oh,
Yeah, my mother-in-law is just an excellent cook. I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable fried chicken. Too many things that I shouldn't eat that she just cooks perfectly. And cornbread. Oh, I got to get out of here, man. I'm having a food attack.
Okay. Well, Jim, on that note, then I should probably duck out of here and get you freed up so you can feed the face there. Sounds good. Alrighty, listen, I appreciate it very much, and I've got this ripped down, and we'll see if we can't improve things for the KC9VKV, WW0JM. We'll be clear on your phone. Thanks so much, and I'll see if I can't find everything on and see how bad it does sound. All righty, my friend. 73 to you, and happy Thanksgiving. We're clear.
Roger, J3ZW, sir. Great Qso. I enjoyed talking at you. And like I say, if you get a chance to join us Fridays on our Qso-Vlog on 7188 between 3:30 and 5. I'd love to talk at you then. This is KC9VKV, and this is our pop-up air check. We're just checking out a couple of things, and if you have a radio that you want to check out the audio, we are recording for the next few minutes. I think we'll do probably about, I think we can get 3 or 4 call signs in the title, so we've got 2. Anybody else want to check out the radio, give me a shout.
Kilo Mike 4 Whiskey India.
Whiskey India Station, the Whiskey India Station. Come back slowly with your call sign.
Kilo Mike 4 Whiskey India.
Kilo Mike 4 India, or was there something else in there?
Whiskey India.
Copy Wisconsin, is that a Roger? And what's the name, please?
The name is Tim, Tango India Mike.
Was that Jim, Juliet India Mike?
Negative, Tango India Mike, Tim.
Roger, Tim, Tango India Mike, got you there. And gosh, what town are you close to, sir?
I'm in North Carolina. I'm near Randleman, North Carolina.
Oh, you're in North Carolina. I thought you were in Wisconsin. Roger. What radio are you running today, sir?
I have the Icon 7300.
The 7300? I don't know if you copied. Excuse me. I'll be right back. Had to get a cup of coffee. My throat was getting dry. You say you're running the 7300. Is that a Roger? Okay, try it again. I'm running on 2 10-foot mag loop antennas running co-phase right now. Usually that is about 3 or 4 dB better than either one of those by themselves. So come back and let me hear you, see what you're doing, Roger. Gosh, Tim, I'm not copying you. You're only, well, you're in my noise now. You're not even a S unit or a dB above my noise. You're right down in my noise. But try one more time. If you are running a 7300, let me know again. Gosh, Tim, I still didn't copy you. I'm going to drop down to 100 watts so you can hear what I'm experiencing on your signal. I'm going to 100 watts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm down to 100 watts. Hello, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what I'm copying, Tim. Roger, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, Roger, at 100 watts here, 570, 57.
Roger on the 5.7. Well, you know, I do have, my antenna is specifically oriented for, you know, usually comes up North Carolina is hot, but the antenna is designed for the East Coast from Montreal to Miami, and it does have a hot spot in North Carolina, Roger.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
But anyway, I don't know if you copied my last Qso, but we were talking about a setup for 7300. Yeah, but you know, all radios are essentially the same. And if you might be interested in a little fattening, I could give you a little list there, a short list that would bring your average peak modulation up to 80 to 85%. Roger.
Roger, Roger. I am listening and recording.
Roger, Roger. Okay. The first thing is engage your compressor at about a 3. We want that compressor on and at a 3. Now, at a 3, nobody will ever hear it working. That's the whole idea. We set up a system that is working, but it doesn't sound like anything's working except you're loud. So the idea is to just engage your compressor at about a 3. Once you do that, then go to your ALC, bring your ALC meter up, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your ALC meter to where your average modulation is mid-scale to 2/3. You want to run that ALC meter at mid-scale to 2/3. Roger? All right, and then I usually, just for the heck of it, say, you know, add 2 clicks of top-end EQ. Add 2 clicks of treble boost from whatever you are right at the moment, because you know, articulated audio is perceived a lot easier than a bassy, muddy audio signal. Roger? And that's it, man. You should be, with those adjustments, you should be running average percent of peak modulation at 80 to 85%, no distortion, and you won't be able to hear anything working. As somebody listening to you won't be, you know, hearing any of that processing working. It's just that you're very loud and with finesse. Roger?
Roger, thank you very much for the settings. I appreciate that.
Roger, Roger. Now, let me review your call sign again. Kilo Mike 4 Whiskey India India. Is that a Roger?
That is a Roger.
And the name is Tim, and you're in North Carolina, Roger? All right, Tim. Well, listen, let me say threes to you, buddy. And if you get a chance, join us for our Qso-Vlog network on Friday afternoons between 3:30 and 5 on 7188. That's Fridays between 3:30 and 5 Eastern Time on 7188. Roger? Roger, Roger. I tell you, usually the earlier the better, because we usually attract a lot of guys in the later time on that Qso-Vlog net. Roger? I guess we just start showing up on everybody's waterfall over a period of time, you know, and usually we're running 20 overs from Montreal to Miami, so we do infiltrate quite a few waterfalls. Roger?
Roger.
All right, well, let me jump out of here, and we'll say threes to you, Tim, and you have a great Thanksgiving. Roger? And we timed that pretty good because you're back into my noise again. So 3 is all, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the pop-up air check. We are recording now till, well, I think one more station. If there's anybody out there that wants to air check of their audio, give me a shout. KC9VKV.
November 8, Juliet, Foxtrot, Juliet.
November 8, Juliet, Foxtrot, Juliet. Is that a Roger?
Roger, Roger.
And what's the name, sir?
John.
And whereabouts are you, John?
We're in Michigan.
Roger, Roger. Well, you sounded mighty good down towards Louisville. We're just across the Ohio River from downtown Louisville. I can see the metropolis from where I look at. And so, you know, we're, like I say, usually on 7188 on the Friday afternoons, but between 3:30 and 5. But we're kind of taking a busman's holiday this afternoon now, Roger.
That's correct. Shall I get the name there?
The name is Jim, Juliet, India Mike, and again the call sign is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and we're copying the mail this afternoon with 2 10-foot magnetic loop antennas. One is oriented east and south, east and north. Hello, east and west, and the others oriented north and south. And we have a 3-position rotary switch that controls them. One is, you know, east and west, and the other's north and south. And then we have a 3rd position, which is a co-phase position. We do have a co-phase harness on these 2 10-foot magnetic loops. Roger?
Roger, quite impressive. Well, I've been absent from the airwaves for several months, and I just got back on just short of 3 weeks ago. And I have a new radio here. It's the Yaesu FTDX 1200, currently running full tilt. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Now, what is full tilt? 100 watts, 200 watts?
100.
Roger, yes. Well, you should always run it that way. There is no reason why you should ever run that radio less than full tilt. That's, you know, especially in today's situation with 40 meters. You know, I guess there was a time when you could take 100 watts on 40 meters and, you know, go 400 miles and come out with a 10 over. But not today. Usually you're lucky to hit 2 or 3 over, you know, with 100 watts at 400 miles. So I would run that radio at 100 watts for sure, just, you know, as an everyday situation. Now, we do offer a tune-up service if you might be interested to make that radio a little bit louder. It's a very simple formula, Roger.
You say it will make it louder?
Roger. Well, it will. At the end, you will be running 80 to 85% average peak modulation, Roger. Now, you know, just as a word of information, 3 dB is, like I say, usually you start off with unprocessed audio, and that unprocessed audio will be about 10 dB of dynamic range. And what you want to do for radio is kind of crunch that audio down, fatten it up, and we found 3 dB dynamic range is just perfect, which gives you a percent of average peak modulation between 80 and 85%. It starts with the compressor. Now, there's a lot of people that don't want to run the compressor, and I'm not really a great fan of it to a certain point. What I suggest is that you run your compressor at about a 3. just a token amount, but it does precisely what it does best, and that is average your modulation to a certain degree, and then once you have your compressor in line at a 3, then go to your ALC, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your ALC meter to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Run that ALC meter mid-scale to 2/3 by adjusting your mic gain control. Roger?
Okay, is the compressor the same thing as a processor?
Absolutely, yes, same thing, just different number, different name. You know, and that's what I don't understand, why they call it a processor. Call it a compressor. It doesn't do anything else but compress. Now, you know, a processor, in my estimation, does a lot of different things. So, you know, I call a processor and a compressor. So, but they call, you know, it's just one and the same to them guys.
Well, that's the way it's set up on the display here, so I just wanted to make sure if I do this that I'm poking the right buttons. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, it is. Yes, a compressor is a processor, so engage your processor at about 1/3 of its capabilities. That is a 3 out of 10 or a 30 out of 100, Roger.
Okay, so you're saying I sound a little bit bassy?
We'll get to that. That EQ is the last thing. Once we get your average, your peak modulation up, because, you know, we could make EQ adjustments prior to that, and it would all sound different once we got your modulation fat enough, Roger. So if you have your compressor running at about a 3, then bring up your ALC meter with mic gain in hand, and then as you talk back to me, adjust your mic gain to where your ALC meter is running a mid-scale to 2/3.
Yeah, I was reading the mail before we got contact here. I've been doing this hobby for over 60 years, and you know, this is a brand new radio for me. I just got it on the air here a few weeks ago, so I very much appreciate your assistance there. Okay, I'm going to try to go through the menu here and see what might mean what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger. Gosh, you caught me with a cup of coffee. Hang on just a minute. There we go. Well, like I say, the setup is really easy. You know, you start with that your processor and adjust it for about a 3 input level, and then once you get your processor in line, go to your ALC meter and bring up your ALC meter and adjust the ALC meter for mid-scale to 2/3 by using your mic gain control. Roger?
Yeah, I understood all that. I'm just poking buttons here trying to get my menu to show what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger. Well, if you would like a more convenient, feel better, but just take notes if you want to do the processing later or the setup later. You know, I usually like to for the person to go along with me as we set it up, so I can hear exactly where we're going. Roger.
Okay, so you're saying 3 dB on the mic gain and 50 to 66% on the ALC, right?
Roger. Now that 3 is your processor. Set your processor at a 3. You know, engage your processor and set the processor level at a 3, at a 10 or 30 out of 100. Roger.
I copy that.
And then move to your ALC, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your your ALC meter to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger.
Roger, I understood all that.
All right, and then once you have that, then move to your EQ, or tone control, I think they call it. You did say you're running the 7300, right?
No, I did not say that. It's an FTDS 1200.
Well, they're all pretty much the same. So what I go through and what I tell you, it's in generics to all radios. All radios pretty much have a processor. All radios pretty much have an ALC meter. All radios pretty much have an EQ. So my setup is very generic in content, but the process of the tune-up, the end result is pretty much all the same. Roger?
Okay, I think we're having some sound change here. There's just quite a bit of static flashes or a clicking sound. And you are
John, you have slipped into my noise level, sir. You have slipped into my noise level. There's only another aspect to it, and that is the EQ. Now, to really be able to hear the EQ that I would tell you to crank in, I would need to be able to hear you. But right now, you're in my noise level. You're actually below my noise level. But let's try it one more time, John, and we'll see what the current situation is. Roger, you're just about a dB and a half above my noise level. So let me just say that I would normally suggest running just a couple of clicks more top-end EQ. Normally, you would just crank in a couple of clicks more treble EQ, top-end EQ, and that would be beneficial as far as, with the setup that we've gone so far. But if you want to hear your audio, like I say, we have been recording. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And right now we're running about 820 some odd Qsos. You'll be looking for one that has your call sign in it. Roger, Roger.
Okay, I didn't understand what the details were there.
I'm not sure what you didn't. I heard you say you didn't understand, but I couldn't hear the rest of it. Repeat, Roger.
I didn't understand what you said about, some details associated with my call sign.
Roger, your call sign will be in the title of the Qso-Vlog when you go to YouTube and do the my call letter search, KC9VKV. So you go to YouTube and do a call letter sign search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you will find a Qso entitled that has your call sign in the title. Roger. Anybody relay?
Yeah, this is WW0JM. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm hearing both of you. He's saying that he thinks he has enough information to go on YouTube and find the Qso-Vlog there. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Thank you so much for the relay. And so we'll say 3s to all. We got to get out of here. We got to go to lunch. But John, I wish you luck on the setup. If you would like, and if you could, join us Friday afternoons, 3:30 till 5 on 7188 and our Qso-Vlog network. John, we'll say 3s for now, and we got to get out of here. This is a KC9VKV 3s all. We're clear. Thanks for the relay.